Live from New Delhi, you're watching DD India Live, India's voice to the world. I'm Abhishek Mahajan, coming up in the next 30 minutes. Ukrainian President Volodymyr Zelenskyy holds virtual meeting with Donald Trump and European leaders ahead of US-Russia summit in Alaska. Gaza ceasefire talks in Cairo today on proposed 60-day truce. Netanyahu signals ceasefire talks moving towards full hostage release. An Indian Olympic Association formally approves country's bid to host 2030 Commonwealth Games during its special general meeting. Ahmedabad in spotlight as proposed host city. European leaders and Ukrainian President Volodymyr Zelenskyy hold online talks with US President Donald Trump on Wednesday. Ukrainian President Volodymyr Zelenskyy arrived in Berlin on Wednesday to join the afternoon video conference with the host, Chancellor Friedrich Merz. Merz also invited the French, British and European leaders and the heads of the EU and NATO to take part in the talks. Merz's office said the conference call focused on further options to exert pressure on Russia and preparation of possible peace negotiations and related issues of territorial claims and security. Leaders are expected to talk to Trump and Vice President J.D. Vance in a second round of the conference call. The Trump-Putin meeting on Friday is so far planned to go ahead without Zelenskyy. This has fueled fears that Kiev could be forced into painful concessions, including over land. EU leaders have stressed that the right of Ukraine to choose its own destiny should be protected and added that international borders must not be changed by force. Zelenskyy ruled out withdrawing troops from the Donbas region, which Moscow claims. And US President Donald Trump praised European leaders as great people on Wednesday ahead of talks in Berlin focused on ending the war in Ukraine. Trump joined the conference call with European leaders and Ukrainian President Volodymyr Zelenskyy before his upcoming summit with Russian President Vladimir Putin in Alaska on Friday. Trump wrote on Truth Social, and I quote, "They are great people who want to see a deal done." As the presidents of US and Russia are meeting in Alaska on Friday, concerns are emerging over Ukraine being left out, where a possible deal may emerge to end the conflict. Ukrainian President Volodymyr Zelenskyy has called this summit a personal victory for a Russian counterpart Vladimir Putin. Zelenskyy has expressed concern that Russia will put forward hardline demands and that Trump will hammer out a deal that will demand Ukraine cede swathes of territory, I should say. But Zelenskyy seems to be standing his ground for now. He also ruled out withdrawing troops from Ukraine's eastern Donbas region as part of a peace deal. The Donbas encompasses the eastern Ukraine regions of Lugansk and Donetsk, both of which Russia claims as its own and has sought to control since 2022. Zelenskyy also said he had received a signal from US envoy Steve Witkoff that Russia might agree to a ceasefire without elaborating. He said Friday's summit would effectively postpone new sanctions on Russia, sanctions that Trump had promised to impose if Putin refused to halt this conflict.
З Україною. Також сьогодні була доповідь розвідки і військового командування про те, на що розраховує Путін і до чого реально готується. Зокрема, це і приготування воєнні. Він точно не готується до припинення вогню і війни. Путін налаштований тільки на те, щоб подати зустріч з Америкою як свою особисту перемогу. І далі продовжувати діяти так, як і раніше. Тиснути на Україну так, як і раніше.
U.S. Secretary of State Marco Rubio said the president wanted to size up Putin directly. Along those lines, Trump's administration tempered expectations for major progress towards a ceasefire, calling the summit a listening exercise.
I think this is a listening exercise for the president. Look, only one party that's involved in this war is going to be present. And so this is for the president to go and to get, again, a more firm and better understanding of how we can hopefully bring this war to an end.
And Russia branded as insignificant European diplomatic consultations with Ukraine on Wednesday ahead of a planned summit between US President Donald Trump and Russian President Vladimir Putin in Alaska.
Мы рассматриваем
We consider the consultations sought by the Europeans to be politically and practically insignificant. The Europeans verbally support the diplomatic efforts of Washington and Moscow to resolve the crisis around Ukraine. But in fact, the European Union is sabotaging them.
A Hamas delegation is in the Egyptian capital Cairo to discuss resuming Gaza ceasefire talks today with the goal of reaching a temporary 60-day truce agreement. Egypt, along with Qatar and the United States, has been trying to help Israel and Hamas reach peace. Despite efforts, no breakthrough has happened since a short-term truce earlier this year. The Hamas team, led by chief negotiator Khalil al-Hayya, were invited by Egypt to discuss the latest developments in ceasefire talks and prisoner exchanges. Cairo meetings will focus on ending hostilities and releasing prisoners. The discussions include a potential 60-day truce followed by longer negotiations. They also aim to exchange all Israeli captives, both alive and deceased, in one deal. Israeli Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu has hinted at a shift in ceasefire negotiations, prioritizing a comprehensive deal to release all remaining hostages held by Hamas in one go rather than phased agreements. This comes as Egypt and Qatar prepare a new framework for a lasting ceasefire, including Israeli troop withdrawal, according to Arab officials. Israel's threat to expand its offensive into Gaza's remaining areas where 2 million residents seek refuge has drawn global criticism and may aim to pressure Hamas. The group holds 50 hostages from October 7, 2023 attack, with Israeli estimating 20 are alive. Egypt continues to push for a 60-day initial ceasefire to free some hostages and boost aid, hoping to pave the way for a permanent truce. Now, Israeli Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu's plan to expand military control over Gaza expected to be launched in October. The military chief of staff has warned it could endanger surviving hostages and prove a death trap for Israeli soldiers. It has also raised fears of further displacement and hardship among the Palestinians in the Gaza City region. Foreign ministers of 24 countries, including Britain, Canada, Australia, France and Japan, said on Tuesday the humanitarian crisis in Gaza had reached unimaginable levels and urged Israel to allow unrestricted aid into the enclave. Israel denies responsibility for hunger in Gaza, accusing Hamas of stealing aid. It says it has taken steps to increase deliveries, including pausing fighting for parts of the day in some areas and announcing protected routes for aid convoys. Now, Israel's coordinator of government activities in the territories, or Kogat, said nearly 320 trucks carrying humanitarian aid entered Gaza on Tuesday via Kerem Shalom and Zikim crossings. The United Nations and other aid groups collected the shipments inside Gaza for distribution. Kogat also reported that 3 tankers of UN fuel entered the strip to power essential humanitarian systems and that it coordinated the rotation of aid workers in and out of Gaza. Meanwhile, a ceremony was held in Jakarta on Wednesday ahead of the departure of its military to drop aid to Gaza. 2 Hercules aircraft departed on Wednesday with more than 80 tons of aid material that will be dropped through Jordan's Aju Air Base.
This mission was a direct instruction from the Indonesian president through the Palace Communication Office, where Indonesia is playing an active role in distributing aid by airdrop operation from Aju Air Base in Jordan. This task force will deliver at least 800 tons of aid and 1,000 packages of instant noodles from Indonesian Defense Ministry. This aid will be distributed through a low-cost, low-altitude method, which is safer than other delivery methods.
Now, a U.S. judge has ordered the Trump administration to restore part of the $584 million in federal grant funding is suspended for University of California, Los Angeles. Ruling the move violated a prior court injunction protecting University of California grants. The suspension followed pro-Palestinian student protests, which the government claims fostered anti-Semitism, a charge protesters dispute. UCLA warned a proposed $1 billion settlement would devastate the university. California governor Gavin Newsom called the offer extortion. The judge's order mandates restoring over a third of frozen funds amid ongoing concerns over free speech, academic freedom and bias in federal investigations. Now, a Chinese jet fighter intercepted a Philippine aircraft carrying journalists during a patrol over the disputed Scarborough Shoal on Wednesday, according to Manila. The fighter came within 200 feet of the Cessna plane, maneuvering aggressively for 20 minutes. Chinese Navy ships below ordered the Philippine aircraft to leave the area. The incident highlights rising tensions in South China Sea, where China maintains a strong presence despite a 2016 ruling invalidating its territorial claims. 2 U.S. warships were also spotted nearby. China has not yet commented on the encounter. Turkey and Syria signed a military training and consultancy agreement in Ankara on Wednesday, marking a step towards deeper defense cooperation. During the talks, Turkish Foreign Minister Hakan Fidan warned Israel against actions that could destabilize Syria, accusing it of pursuing expansionist policies. Fidan called for an end to all external interference in Syria, emphasizing that Israel views chaos in the region as beneficial to its security strategy. The deal follows months of negotiations and comes after Turkey renewed ties with Syria following Assad's ousting in December. Let's now take a look at other stories making news around the world. Firefighters worked to contain a wildfire near Canada's Halifax on Tuesday, with helicopters and aircraft dropping water and retardant over the Byers Lake area. Nova Scotia's Department of Natural Resources estimated the fire at 25 to 30 hectares and still out of control, though progress had been made. Officials said the crews set to reassess and resume efforts later today. Wildfires continue to rage in northern Portugal for a 4th straight day on Wednesday, with nearly 700 firefighters and aircraft battling the blaze near Trancoso, 350 kilometers northeast of Lisbon. The fire began on August 9. Around 52,000 hectares have burned nationwide this year, 10,000 more than average according to the European Forest Fire Information System. Experts warn that hotter, drier summers in the Mediterranean are increasing wildfire risk, with dry vegetation and strong winds accelerating the spread. Now, in Berlin, hundreds of people jumped into the Spree River for a swim in the middle of the capital against the long-standing blanket ban on swimming. Activists said they swam in the hope of ban lift, which has been there for around 100 years. The 2025 World Robot Conference concluded in Beijing on Tuesday, bringing together innovators and investors to explore real-world uses of robotics. From manufacturing and agriculture to home services, the event featured over 500 application scenarios, highlighting the scale and diversity of today's robotics ecosystem. Time now for a very short break, but still to come on this edition of DD India Live. South Korean prosecutors raid party headquarters after arrest of former First Lady Kim Kyon-hee. And Mondo Duplantis breaks record for 13th time with 6.29-meter jump in Budapest.
Jharkhand will mesmerize you with majestic nature, rich heritage and colorful culture.
Hello. Johar. It fits perfectly.
Thank you.
Full workout हो गया.
Ready?
Postcards from Jharkhand on National Geographic.
Welcome back. You're watching DD India Live. I'm Abhishek Mahajan. The third India-Singapore Ministerial Roundtable convened in New Delhi today, marking a significant step in accelerating the comprehensive strategic partnership between the two nations. External Affairs Minister Dr. A. Jaishankar, Finance Minister Nirmala Sitharaman, Commerce Minister Piyush Goyal and IT Minister Ashwini Vaishnav represented India, while Singapore's delegation included Deputy Prime Minister Gan Kim Yong, Foreign Minister Vivian Balakrishnan and others. Discussions at the roundtable focused on 6 pillars that are digitalization, skill development, sustainability, healthcare, connectivity and advanced manufacturing. The event also featured a productive interaction with the India-Singapore Business Roundtable, emphasizing government-industry synergy. Dr. Jaishankar expressed delight at the commitment to deepen bilateral ties, thanking the Singaporean leaders. Now, India's External Affairs Minister Dr. Jaishankar addressed the Faith Conclave 2025. He spoke about steps taken by the government to boost India's tourism. Noting that the world is passing through a volatile and uncertain situation, Dr. Jaishankar stressed that we have to stand on our own feet through Atmanirbharta or self-reliance.
We are a civilizational state, a society that has withstood the test of time and nurtured its culture, traditions and heritage. Our real strengths have been our people and their self-belief. We have overcome adversities and we have addressed multiple challenges in the journey towards progress and prosperity. We have so much to be proud of and so much to share with the world. Our approach has long been driven by Vasudhaiva Kutumbakam and Atithi Devo Bhava. While we will always benefit by such openness, it is essential in times of unpredictability to stand firmly on our own feet. Atmanirbharta is, of course, the mindset to deal with global turbulence.
Moving on, South Korean prosecutors raided the headquarters of the former party of jailed ex-president Yoon Suk-yeol on Wednesday. The raid was conducted to gather evidence in an election meddling case against his wife Kim Kyon-hee, a day after she was arrested on corruption and other charges. Kim is South Korea's only former First Lady to be arrested, joining her husband, ex-president Yoon Suk-yeol. The court issued the warrant for Kim's detention, the special prosecutor appointed in early June said in a brief message. The charges against her range from stock fraud to bribery and illegal influence peddling. Kim is also accused of receiving 2 Chanel bags, together valued at 20 million won, and diamond necklace from a religious group as a bribe in return for influence favorable to its business interest, though Kim's lawyers have previously denied the accusations. Sports updates now. The Indian Olympic Association on Wednesday formally approved India's bid to host 2030 Commonwealth Games at its special general meeting in Delhi. Speaking exclusively to DD India's Narayan Singh, IOA President PT Usha called it a proud and historic moment.
Big moment for the Indian sports, and India will formally bid for the 2030 Commonwealth Games on August 31. Right now I'm joined by the President of the Indian Olympic Association, PT Usha ma'am, and also the CEO Raghuram Iyer. Ma'am, congratulations, a big moment for the Indian sports. How you look this moment in the Indian sports?
Because we are all unanimously means supported for the Commonwealth bid, and it is good that people work together. And then if we get, this is the initial stage, we are working on to get the bid for our country, and if it is good for the athletes and for even for the 2036 Olympics also.
Delegations are also coming to Ahmedabad to see the preparations.
So I don't think there is a preparation as such. Right now the delegations, only the Commonwealth Games delegation has come, and they have visited various cities, and they're just seeing what is the infrastructure readiness of many of the cities. As far as 2036 is concerned, nothing of this, no IOC delegation has visited us yet, and we're in the process of continuous dialogue. So, and as you may be aware, there is a new president also of the IOC, and she has put a pause and reflect kind of a thing. So the IOC is also taking its time into deciding how and when to allot the future games. So right now we are only in the dialogue stage. There hasn't been any visit from any delegation.
So talking about, ma'am, the Commonwealth Games, many sports were left out in the Glasgow, Scotland Games. So when India will host, if India gets the hosting right of the Games 2030 Commonwealth Games, do we have plans to bring hockey, wrestling and many important core games that India has a big part of the medal haul?
Naturally, that is the good part for the host country, no? So naturally, because this Glasgow, because of last minute only they had come because other countries withdrawn. That is why the event is not there. So India, when we win, will more our game will try to get.
And the sports government bill has been passed in both the houses. How you look this movement for the Indian sports, especially in the field of sports governance?
It's a good for the athletes, and after this is long wait, and even for me, I missed the bronze by 100th of a second in LA Olympics, and that is, I did my best, but there is no system at all at that. So for there, the system had come for good governance and transparency and athletic centric, and for sponsorship things and all associations, everything it will help.
Definitely, the way things are going on, the way India is performing Commonwealth Games, India will bid for the mega event. Also, the hosting of the 2036 Olympics is also in the pipeline, and the way things are happening, we are hoping that India is we can say the new sports capital of the world. With camera person Uttam, Narayan Singh, DD India, Delhi.
Olympic champion Sweden's Armin Mondo Duplantis stunned the world once again after he broke his own world record for the 13th time on Tuesday. Duplantis bettered his pole vault world record by a centimetre, clearing 6.29 metres at the athletics meet in Budapest. Double Olympic gold medalist soared over the bar at the second attempt to improve on his 6.28 metre from Stockholm in June. It was 25-year-old's third record of 2025, having also cleared 6.27 metre in Clermont-Ferrand in February. On to Chennai Grand Masters 2025, Germany's Vincent Kemar preserved his 1-point lead after playing out a tense draw with India's Arjun Erigese in 6th round on Tuesday. Playing with the white pieces, Kemar had gained early control with an innovative opening play, only to be stonewalled by Erigese in the middle game. With no room left to manoeuvre for either, the two shook hands for a draw after 41 moves each. Meanwhile, Nihal Sarin continued his topsy-turvy tournament as he stumbled to a defeat with white pieces against the Netherlands' Jordan van Forest. And India's chess grandmaster D. Gukesh slipped from 3rd to 6th spot with 6 points after 6 rounds of the rapid section at the Grand Chess Tour event in St. Louis on Tuesday. The reigning world champion in classical chess, Gukesh began the second day with a loss to American grandmaster Shankland. He followed it up with draws against French grandmaster Maxim and Uzbek grandmaster Nodirbek. The St. Louis Rapid and Blitz is the 4th leg of 2025 Grand Chess Tour and the final Rapid and Blitz event of the season. Well, that's all we have in this edition of DD India Live. But do let us know your thoughts on the news of the day. For those on the go, you can get all the latest news and updates from India and across the world on DD India mobile app. The app is available on both Android and iOS platforms. Scan the QR code on the screen to download now. And we'll be back with more news as it breaks here on DD India. I'm Abhishek Mahajan. From all of us here in Delhi, thanks for watching DD India Live.